it appears Amy doesn't have anything.
Yes,
I think I'm first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry.
I call the Planning and Development Committee to order, and Miss Jessie.
Yeah, good evening. First item on the agenda is petition by Mary E. McAlley to annex TMS number 13705040013 located on Willis Lane and totaling approximately 0.57 acres. Currently zoned AR Agricultural Residential in Dorchester County and requested to be zoned GR2 General Residential, 2 units per acre following annexation into the town of Somerville's municipal limits. This would be in Council District 1. Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on November 18th, 2024.
Any discussion on this?
No,
No.
make a motion, recommend, pass it to council with recommendation for approval.
Second,
All right, motion and a second. Any other discussion? All,
I do have one question. Is she gonna, not that it matters, do they access from Willis or from Flood?
It would be from Willis.
Okay.
any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Next item on the agenda is the request to rezone TMS number 15400000021 located at 225 Midland Parkway, totaling approximately 3.95 acres and owned by Trident Medical Center LLC from NB Neighborhood Business to GB General Business. This is in Council District 6. Planning Commission held a public hearing and made a recommendation for approval at their meeting on November 18th, 2024.
Make the motion, move that to council for approval.
Second,
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
We know what they're gonna do with it out there?
Yes, sir. They, well, the initial plan is they're going to build a parking garage on a portion of that. And then they do have future potential plans for the property, potentially a medical office building. They can certainly speak to it if you'd like them to, or if that's good enough for you, then
Just curious.
sure.
Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor? Say aye. Aye.
Next item on the agenda is discussion on site plan approval for Oak Brook Elementary School addition at 306 Old Fort Drive. The reason this is coming before you is because it's zoned PL Public Lands.
I have a question. We can do that before discussion.
Mhm.
At what point did we start reviewing site plans for the school district?
When the school district's properties are all rezoned to public lands rather than the residential zoning districts.
Was that when the UDO was adopted?
Yes, because the residential zoning districts, they were running into issues with impervious surface and all those other aspects that go along with the residential zoning.
And
The
how big,
public lands is much more flexible.
so the one at Oak Brook, how big is their area of disturbance?
I believe it's this one, I think it's less than half an acre or right at half an acre approximately.
Okay. And these are also reviewed and approved by OSF, right?
By
Office,
whom?
Office of School Facilities, the state. Office
For
of
the
School
actual
Facilities.
building permit, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Site
the
plan-
school district is subject to zoning and stormwater management requirements, but not building. They go
Does this
through.
also have to go to the DRB or is this handled at staff level?
It does go to DRB. They generally just go before them once and sign off on them. And
Yeah, you kind of lead me to the next point, but okay.
Any other questions or discussions? Entertain a motion.
Did we make, yeah.
And-
Okay, I make a motion, we move it to council for approval.
I'll second that.
A motion and a second. No other discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
And the last item is discussion of site plan approval for Somerville softball concessions and press box building at 500 Greenway Boulevard. Again, this is zone PL.
Okay, same situation. This is like a press box for the softball field.
Correct.
Incredibly small projects, yet it still has to come to the town and to DRB. Is there not a mechanism that we can approve this without DRB, or a mechanism where staff, if it's below a certain acreage, can just approve it?
Not currently.
Okay, so that'd have to be an ordinance change then. Okay,
The reason is because of the flexibility involved in the public land zoning. It's at your discretion
mhm.
for that. And then anything that's basically not residential zoning goes before the DRB for construction approval if it's a new or an addition.
Understood. Okay.
Jesse, just for my clarification, that PL, you don't have to have it. There's no setback requirements. There's basically.
No, it's all at y'all's discretion, which
Right,
is
so
why
it's-
we need y'all to
yeah.
approve the site plan because we don't have anything to go off of.
So
basically
that's
it's
all
to
what we're talking about.
Allow flexibility, but it does have to go before y'all. And we did discuss the change before the UDO was adopted with the school district and explained why we were doing it and just said, it's basically, it actually gives you much more flexibility. It does add a few steps to the process, but they were okay based on, because they have had to go to variance before, a number of variances for height and for impervious surface and that sort of thing. So they were okay with having to come before y'all for site plan approval to have to avoid that variance process.
When's the next time the DRB meets?
They meet on the 18th.
And just a question for something like a school district or something, public building, and I know we dealt with this with DRB in the past too. Could we not? Has anybody ever changed it to where the DRB, where the council approves the site plan and the project at the same time if it were a construction project?
So.
That way it just kind of takes a step out of the process. Or does you're saying DRB just, it kind of goes through that process when it's a construction project. I assume we see the site plan first. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
So would there be a reason why we couldn't basically approve the site plan and the project?
DRB
without-
looks at the aesthetics. Y'all are just looking at the
Right,
site plan
right.
and the actual,
I got you.
whether you're good with where they're placing it and how far it is from the property line
Yeah.
and that type of thing.
And it
so
would just
it's-
put the aesthetics then on us if that, or is that kind of unprecedented, I guess?
I'm not aware of.
If, so it's basically, instead of us approving the site plan and then a month later it goes DRB, if they already had a full, complete set of construction documents, could it not get approval from council all at the same time if it's their own public lands for aesthetics and whatnot?
That is entirely up to the discretion of the council.
Okay.
What sort of process that you want public lands, facilities.
To
Facilities
go on,
that are
right.
proposed for public lands to go through. So if that would exclude a step, if that adds a step, if that.
Right.
It's totally up to y'all with
Mhm.
regard to your discretion. So whatever process y'all do or do not like is totally up to you.
Right.
With regard to that in the way the UDO.
Yeah, it would just require an ordinance.
But
change.
yeah, I know it's required to change that.
Yeah, I don't-
And I don't want to create a pitfall. I don't want to create a blind spot that I'm not seeing when I'm asking that question. That's why I'm asking the question.
Well,
It's,
Just correct me if I'm wrong,
but-
as Jesse explained, DRBs on these projects is just looking at the aesthetic.
Right. Yeah, that's all they're doing.
All they're
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
And this is it in
Mhm.
terms of the review on the site,
Right.
besides staff.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But yeah, you could, it still goes to TRC. Does it still go to TRC? Does it still go to TRC?
Some of them do. I mean, this concessions one did not go to TRC.
Right.
Some of them do just if there's trees being removed and that type of thing, just so we let them know, what they need to submit. But this one didn't
Right, gotcha.
require that.
Okay.
The last one did. The Oak Brook Elementary School edition did go
Right.
before
It is a
TRC.
bigger addition, of course.
Because it's a bigger edition, it impacts trees and it's a tighter site than the softball
Hmm.
concession.
I think what Councilman Halter's alluding to and what I'm in favor of as well is as a simplified process as possible as we work something, especially like a public lands. You know, we don't have a lot of them to start with, so.
I mean, if aesthetics are not a concern to the council for facilities that are gonna be built on public lands, then you could get rid of the DRB review, because that's all they're reviewing is for aesthetics.
Well, I don't, yeah,
That eliminates a step in the process.
I don't want to say that I'm not concerned with this study.
No, I
But yeah,
understand.
Yeah.
that's, I think it would just be a matter of us, you know, someone needs to approve the aesthetics, of course. Otherwise we'd have a mess. We would have a mess on our hands, but, I just,
Council could do that. You
it-
can do
all
that,
is-
but that would
all in
require
one-
the applicant to come in front of you.
right, yeah, and that might be a mess too. So I guess I'm just trying to spitball
Yeah,
here.
and we do
think of
try and
ways.
make the process as quick as we can with these.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily abide by our normal submittal deadlines for
Mhm.
these smaller
Okay,
projects that,
I know you
Yeah.
did with this one and I appreciate
yeah, I
that.
mean, we try and fit them in as quickly as we can because we understand that they, you know, sometimes have a tight timeline for funding and, or it may be something that volunteers are doing something for the school district, that type of thing. So smaller projects, we certainly try and fit it in if we can, and not be as strict as we are on larger projects for submittal deadlines. Like Matt said, this project, the concession stand, we just found out about it last week. So we were like, oh, we'll just throw it on there and
I
get it
think they
done
did
so
too.
they can get it
They
done.
thought they had everything they needed to start construction because they got approval from OSF and then they were,
Just my point of view, for consistency, the DRB knows what
Yeah.
they're doing all over town.
Yep.
And two, I personally don't want to take the kickback when somebody builds an ugly building.
well,
Yeah.
so
I find a pink building in the middle of.
yeah, I don't think the school district's going to do that when it's built adjacent to an existing structure, but I would like to make a motion that we take this to full council for approval, and I'd further ask that we have planning draft an amendment to the ordinance that projects on public land of a certain size, and I'll let you decide what that size is. The projects of a certain size will be exempt from DRB review. For example, a press box.
yeah, that kind of, what you're saying, that would kind of limit the square footage size of a building more or less
Right.
to go in DRB.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't see a problem with it
Just square footage,
I-
use. in that.
No, I'm thinking more in terms of acreage. If it's under
either. And it'd be like a staff approval more so than a,
anything under half an acre within a half mile of receiving water body gets basically a rubber stamp anyway. So maybe something, anything less than a tenth of an acre, for example. But I'll leave that in between you and Bonnie to decide what that size should be.
So acreage rather than square footage size.
Yeah, I would,
Okay.
my personal opinion would be acreage, since land disturbance is triggered by acreage, not building size.
that was a motion. We got a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? I think we got enough. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you.
I hear motion we adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have everybody. I'll call the finance meeting to order and turn it over to you, Miss Rhonda.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council. You have before you the November finance report. On the summary page, I'll highlight just a couple of things on the revenue. We took in just over $1.5 million in revenue. Year-to-date total is almost 7.7, which is 18% of our total annual revenue. Our expenses, we expended $1.9 million. Our year-to-date is 18.5 million, and we have expended 37% of our expense budget. Not included in that is our transfers from another fund, which is hospitality, of our monthly allocation of 308,000 and year-to-date total of 1.5. Of course, our revenues, our expenditures exceeded our revenues by roughly $9.3 million for the month. Any comments on any of those items?
So that's a situation we expect will resolve itself come January, February.
Yes, yes. Our property taxes will start coming in January. That'll be the biggest month for property taxes. And then our business license income will start in March, April, May, and June.
But I'll do my part.
Okay. Thank you, sir. For revenues, the first two categories, property taxes and license and permits, are those categories that we have spent we've received 8% and 12% of our budget. So those are the two categories that, again, between business licenses and property taxes, that we'll see income later in the year. Municipal court, we've collected 44% of our revenue, and state revenues, we're at 52%. That gets skewed a little bit as far as consistency compared to the 42% because there's some quarterly revenues from the state included in that. Parks and Rec, we're ahead of our budgeted total there. We collected 41,000 during the current period, and year-to-date is 224,000, representing 57% of our budgeted revenue. Miscellaneous, there are various things in here, and the percentages probably aren't relative. We collected 164,000 in revenue. Majority of that is interest income. Year-to-date is 1.3. And transfers in, again, is from the hospitality of 308,000. Any comments on the revenue? Next is impact fees. We've collected year-to-date between residential and commercial $1.6 million in impact fees. The only current expenditures we had were for Parks and Rec of 13,000. The year-to-date expenditures through all funds are 73,000. So we have an excess of 1.5 million at this point for impact fees. Any other questions on impact fees? Hospitality and accommodations, we're trending right on target again with hospitality. Our year-to-date is almost 2.5 million, and our expenses are just about 2.5 million. So that's an excess for year-to-date of 140,000, and our budgeted revenue is right at 6 million. So we're on target with that. Local accommodations, we collected about 35,000, which is consistent from month to month. Year-to-date is 180,000. We've had no expenditures out of that fund this year. Stormwater, we've started collecting a little bit of the tax revenue there. We collected $60,000 this month for year-to-date of 435,000. Our expenditures are 117,000. Year-to-date, just over $1 million. We're still at a deficit position of 645,000, but expect that to correct itself later on. Any questions about anything there? Any comments?
Thank you, Ms. Rhonda.
Thank you very much.
Authorization for the town administrator to renew the contract with Environmental Systems Research Institute, ESRI, for the ESRI Small Municipal and County Government Agreement for GIS Software Maintenance and Training. This is $126,600 3-year contract with annual payments of $42,200. The procurement method was single source, funds to come from approved budgeted funds, and the request is from the planning department.
I'll make a motion that we approve that.
Second.
that, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Authorization to issue a purchase order to HDR in the amount of $92,526.02 for CE&I services for the Central Avenue Sidewalk Project. Funds to come from approved budgeted general budget capital, request from the Public Works Department.
Make a motion of approval.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. How did we come to select HDR for this project?
Mr. Slatton?
We chose HDR in an effort to get this project moving. They are already our project manager on the Maple Street Extension project. And because of their familiarity with us and we with them and their availability to be able to push this project forward, we went ahead and asked them if they would be willing to, if they had the capacity, and if they would be willing to take on this contract. We got a quote from another company. Bonnie, who was that? From ICE, and it was for over $100,000 for the same scope of services. So this project has been on the drawing board and is behind schedule in terms of being executed and moving forward. We were awaiting the county council, Dorchester County, to approve the allocating its funds for this contract. They did not take this up, and after speaking with the administration, it appeared that the county council was unwilling at this point to fund this. And so I was eager to get it funded and move it forward so we could get this project up and running.
Are we not less than thrilled with their performance on North Maple Street in terms of schedule and budget? We're getting ready to spend a bunch of money extending their contract.
Yeah, I understand that sentiment and certainly share that in part. I don't think that HDR can be, we can lay the blame for North Maple Street at HDR's feet. Certainly not entirely. They are responsible for some portion of it, I'm sure. But my understanding of it, as I've had meetings with contractors, and in fact, I'm meeting with Blythe in 2 weeks, Mr. Blythe, to talk to them about the problems that they've had with Dominion Energy, in particular in moving their facilities out of the right of way. I had a meeting last week with Dominion's representative, their intergovernmental relations representative, and we got an update from their Low Country district manager about why Dominion has been dragging its feet and blew the utility relocation window 6 months ago. I don't know that HDR could have spurred Dominion to move any faster than they have, but I'm in having conversations with them, in particular with Jarrett. What's Jarrett's last name? Jarrett Michael Merrill. Jarrett Merrill. I'm here now too. So I would expect that we will be able to get this project moving on time and on budget once we've awarded the contract.
Yeah.
This is the next step in the process. Pre-con meeting will be held as soon as we can get the principals together after we get this contract or a contract for the CE&I approved.
All right. So not changing the subject, but kind of on the same subject. At what point did HDR alert the town that they're having an issue with utilities getting moved? Because I know they don't have the horsepower to make Dominion move, but certainly we do.
I will defer to Bonnie on that, but my understanding is they have been ringing the bell on utility relocations for quite a while. And Dominion first used storms in the spring, then Hurricane Helene and other issues. And again, I'm not trying to throw Dominion under the bus. I'm just telling you what I've been told and what I understand. And they just, for whatever reason, haven't made this project, Maple Street anyway, a priority.
So that's why I've been asking for meetings and asking questions to try and get those answers and to spur them to move them forward. And we're going to continue to do that.
Okay, so getting back to Central Avenue, do we not have that capability? We have 3 engineers and we have the technician who's been here almost 30 years. Do we not have that capability in-house to manage a sidewalk?
Not the size of this one. This is a mile worth of sidewalk. And it is on Central Avenue, which of course is a extremely busy thoroughfare. I don't think there's not any kind of utility implications in here, but with the staffing that we have and the workload that they have, I don't think that we have the capacity in-house right now. I would love to talk more about that at the mid-year budget retreat and in preparation for FY26 as well.
Very good.
I don't disagree with you, Councilman Halter, that we should be able to handle some of these projects in-house, but we should be able to at some point. But right now, it's my estimation that we don't have the staff capacity to do it.
I don't know HDR. I don't have any connection to them. I don't have anything personal against them, but I
understand.
I don't feel good about giving them another $95,000 when they've not performed, in my estimation, on North Maple Street.
Well, I hear you and I understand it. And I share some of your concerns as well. But this, in my estimation, is the best way to get this project moving forward. And this is one of a number of projects that have been languishing for
Yes,
a
sir.
long time.
Agreed.
And this is the next best step to get this thing going and get it done so we can move on to other things. Other questions?
Still a performance-based contract, right? Correct? I mean, they have to carry out their duties and
Yeah, I mean, there are clawbacks and provisions for them failing to perform. Absolutely, yeah. But again, y'all know better than I do. They can only control what they can control. They can bird dog a project and stay on somebody's back, and we'll stay on HDR's back as well. But being on the ground out there every day and helping direct traffic is literally, in some cases, is not something that we have the capacity, and we'll hold them to account, along with anybody else associated with these projects.
Council members, any other discussion? I appreciate that feedback. Good question.
Yeah,
Council.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. All right, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, one in opposition. The ayes have it.
Authorization to issue a purchase order to Cooper Motors in the amount of $37,960 for a 2025 Chevrolet Silverado 1500. This is on state contract, funds to come from budgeted general funds, and the request is from the Parks and Recreation Department.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Authorization to surplus WM 136, a 2010 John Deere 6430 tractor with a 22-foot Alamo machete boom mower attachment. Funds to be deposited into stormwater fund balance, and the request is from the Stormwater Department.
I would move to approve the surplus.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
Question. While we're getting rid of the tractor, is there a possibility that the boom could be used somewhere else, or is that just done?
The boom is attachment to the tractor.
I understand. Could it be attached to a different tractor for use for parts?
I would say probably not, given the use of that equipment as a unit. And we have a new mower. It's about a year old that is doing a great job and replaced this one. That's why someone's getting.
I'm actually surprised it's lasted 14 years.
Yeah,
Those
exactly.
things take
I
a
agree.
beating.
Yeah. Listen, when government wears out something, when government surpluses something, don't buy it because it's
Sure.
wore out, right?
This is the Alamo.
All right,
That's it.
we had a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Authorization to surplus the following police department vehicles: P 247, a 2014 Dodge Charger with 92,408 miles. P 250, a 2014 Dodge Charger with 110,788 miles. P 259, a 2014 Dodge Charger with 94,010 miles. P 270, a 2014 Dodge Charger with 113,781 miles. And P 271, a 2014 Dodge Charger with 106,190 miles.
We approve that.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
All right, motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
I have one quick question. Is it coincidence that these are all 2014s, or are we on a 10-year replacement plan?
No, sir, we don't have a replacement plan. 2 years, so we're just trying to keep everything as long as we can. We need more cars, but these are in a position we have to sell.
What's the right number of years?
It's supposed to be probably 6 years.
Mhm.
Five if it's a marked vehicle, 6 to 7 years if it's an unmarked vehicle used for administrative use.
Thank you.
I'm sure the chief appreciates that question, Councilman.
Yeah. We have a plan. We just never follow it.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Authorization for the finance director to transfer the remaining unobligated ARPA funds to the general fund balance to fund insurance premium increases.
I'll make a motion. We approve that.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to approve. Any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to ask a couple questions. First of all, I'd like to know how much of ARPA funds are we talking about that's left? And then also, what was our increase in insurance this time?
I'll answer the second question first.
Okay,
Just our property and liability insurance premiums are going to go up about $110,000 for calendar year 2025. So we'll pay half of that in this current fiscal year. The other half will pay in the next fiscal year, plus whatever increase to that is imposed on us by our by Risk Management Services, South Carolina Municipal Insurance Reserve Fund, starting in January of 2026. So at a minimum, it's about $110,000 in property and liability, and we're still working on health insurance premium increases for the next fiscal year. So, but these funds need to be obligated by the end of this calendar year, 2024, so that we don't have to send this money back to the feds. And
I
it's,
see.
I think our
Okay.
remaining balance is even less than that.
Most, but we've got programs already in place that we're spending the money on. I just don't want to take any chances that we have anything left over. And from an audit perspective, I think it's good just to designate where it's going. And certainly we have a tangible need in insurance.
Okay, so you said that the rest of this money has to be used up by 2024?
Just obligated.
Okay, and do we already have a list of all those things that this would go into besides the premium?
That is it.
That's it.
Oh, I thought you said there was 200K
Well,
in the ARPA funds.
I don't know
They're
exactly how
being
much it is.
expended.
So there's the mental health facility. There's other things that we have funded out of ARPA. And so the year hasn't obviously gotten to the end yet, and I don't know exactly what that number is going to look like. I just wanted to have a mechanism in place. So if it wasn't obligated, I could make sure we contributed to insurance premiums on that.
You have to spend, we have to obligate the money by the end of this year. We have until the end of 2026 to actually spend it.
Okay,
So if we obligate it towards insurance premium increases, which we know we're already gonna incur for the next calendar year, certainly for the next fiscal year, and certainly for the fiscal year 27, that is going to likely eat up whatever balance we have left.
okay.
And
Okay,
If
I'll
I-
say the way I understood it, and maybe this restating would help. Essentially, we have already budgeted 100% of the ARPA funds that we were awarded. We budgeted those. However, there are certain underruns that may occur, and then we won't determine until we're audited that there's some remainder. By taking this exercise, we prevent the feds from coming to us later because we've obligated whatever remainder there is, and therefore we're in line with the law, so we get to keep it.
And by insurance premiums, not only through our building, but our health insurance has increased. You know, there's number of things like that that we can identify. Should we have more than yeah.
Thank you.
All right. I didn't write it down. Did we have a motion in a second or we go straight into? All right, we had a motion in a second. Thank you. All right, any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Start back over.
Oh, town administrators report.
Thank you, council. Real quickly, just a couple of items I want to talk to you about. Just a reminder that we're going to hold our mid-year budget retreat on Thursday, January the 16th. We are going to, as staff, get together and propose a draft budget. And if there are items of particular interest that you want to see on that agenda, if you will, please get those items to me or Beth or Rhonda by the end of close of business on January the 3rd, which is a Friday. So the meeting's on the 16th of January. If you have something of particular interest that you want on that agenda, get it to us by close of business on Friday, January the 3rd. Any questions about that?
You say you're gonna have a draft agenda?
We'll start working on a draft
Okay.
agenda. I've got a number of items already that we intend to put on there. A couple of things that we've even heard from some of you about.
Yeah.
So we will have those for sure, but if there's anything in particular, just let us know.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Want to talk to you real quickly about a meeting that the mayor and I had with Berkeley County Supervisor Johnny Cribb a couple of weeks ago, where we talked about the Cedar Street Extension project. We expressed our concern about the level of funding for that particular project, and that we would certainly hope that Berkeley County is going to continue to partner with us going forward as we develop that project, and as estimates for the total costs come in. I met subsequently with Bonnie and Michael Baker, our architectural firm, our engineering firm, to ask for them to provide us with as updated a cost estimate as possible, so that we can get that information to Berkeley County and we can all be on the same page for what to expect going forward. I asked Michael Baker and they kind of balked a little bit, but I asked them to give me 2026 cost estimates, not 2024 cost estimates, because that's how quickly things move. Supervisor Cribb was certainly receptive to the idea of continuing to partner, and he was very eager and interested in making sure that all the projects that are on Berkeley County's transportation penny list get completed. So we will work going forward there. It is going to go up, the price of the project, since it was first conceived of a number of years ago. But we'll continue to work through that and try and identify funding. We are taking a field trip next week. Rhonda and our HR director, Chris Grant, and I are going to drive up to Florence County and meet with County Administrator Kevin Yoakum and some of the folks on his staff to talk about their health insurance program and some of the things that they're doing to lower the premium costs for their employees, lower the premium costs for their county, and hopefully glean some lessons that we can apply to our budget next year. Hopefully, they've got some really good concepts up there, including running their own employee health clinic to help people get access to health care in an affordable way, so as to prevent longer term and more expensive claims for their employees and for their county. So we're going to go up there and explore that, and hopefully bring back some good information for us to talk about for the budget coming up in the spring. I will be on annual leave the week of Christmas. I'll be back here on 2 January 2025. So if you need me before then, please reach out. Otherwise, I will be out of pocket. I'll be available in extreme emergencies if somebody has cut off their finger or they're bleeding out or are potentially in mortal danger, but otherwise I'll be out of pocket. Questions for me about any of those things or anything I did not discuss? All right, thank you
Good
very
report.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Finance Committee Executive Session, discussion of personnel matters related to citizen committees, commissions, and boards.
Mr. Mayor, I move we enter executive session to personnel matters related to citizen committees, commissions, and boards.
Second.
All right, motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss personnel matters related to citizen committees, commissions, and boards. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? We're in executive session.
That's it, I think. Knock it out.